Hey, Son, and welcome to Season 3 of the Black Women in Europe podcast. Thanks so much for listening in Season 1 and Season 2. Season 3 will not disappoint. Go to Linktree/Black Women in Europe so we can be social. But thanks and get ready for our next guest.
On the podcast, she's an amazing state that's living in Paris. Salut, chérie, welcome.
Salut, merci. Thank you so much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence in some kind of way, even virtually.
Ditto. I say that, and I maintain my belief that you just have fairy dust. I imagine if I see you walking down the street, that it's just like gold sparkles coming up off of your heels. I just love your energy.
Thank you so much. Well, it's people like you who are receptive to, this sort of radiant, joyful energy that mean the world to me and make my energy shine. It's what it's reciprocal, right?
It's
It's partly you
reciprocal.
that who helps to create that as well.
Well, I appreciate that, and I want to make sure I thank Robin Bates because she was the one that connected us, wasn't she?
Yes, another fairy, right? Another
Exactly.
magical being.
Exactly, with a backpack full of magic wands,
Just
slinging them
spreading
out
the
like
love.
arrows.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember one reason I was drawn to you, and you've influenced me and inspired me so much because of your yoga and all your holistic and wonderful things you do. Tell us about that.
Well, Adrian, I have been on a journey, honey, over the last few years, especially and even because of everything that happened in 2020, like many people, right? Especially many people of color, all the
Hmm.
things that have happened, starting from there and continue to happen with COVID and just a super, super highlight on social injustice and the climate reports that are coming out by scientists and being extremely ignored by the petroleum fossil fuel industry and the like is just a lot. And all of that on top of for me, for example, raising two young kids. I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old boy now. In 2020 we
Congratulations. I think the 2-year-old may be new since we spoke last time.
I think so.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think I was pregnant the last time we spoke, maybe. I can't remember.
I think
But
so. So I didn't
yeah,
realize you had a boy. How
yeah.
fantastic. Two boys. Ooh, three
Thank
men in the
you.
house.
Oh my God, I am outnumbered. That's a whole other story.
We'll get to
But
that.
I have accepted messes, little localized messes around the apartment as just part of life with men, life with men. But anyway, everything that's happened on a social level and health crisis and all of that with what's going on in my own life personally and the growth and changes that have been spurred in my own life and I've been dealing with, I have gone through just a metamorphosis, honestly.
Tell
So,
me about that. So where were you and where and so metamorphosis, where did you start and where are you now?
well, I guess I can say that the metamorphosis has shown up in my brand, in my business. This
Hmm.
is where I kind of dealt with it in a public way, not really openly, like I'm not giving everybody the down low of what's going on in my personal life, but it's just that it showed up in those areas for whatever reason. So in 2020, as you know, I was Electric Sea Fairy teaching yoga. And at the time, I was also doing Thai yoga massage, something that I also have been doing for many years.
Sounds wonderful.
And I actually miss giving. If you when you give this kind of body work, this kind of healing, it's another reciprocal thing. It also feels really nice and really energizing to give Thai body work. It's really a nice experience. But anyway, so I was doing yoga and working with the body in this way. So it was a very physical kind of healing practice modality that I was providing. And then I morphed into Kleidi Bee. And that's when I was pregnant and had my second child, my second son. And I was really coming from that angle of motherhood, of how to deal with co-parenting in different styles, how to maintain not only autonomy but an agency and identity, how to maintain identity being, kind of swamped, drowned in motherhood and what else,
Yeah.
all the other things going on in life and in society. And so I found, a way to kind of make that work, and I reflected it in my brand at the time as well. And so my offerings went more from less from being strictly physical with like teaching yoga, and more into a deeper healing space, like again with being a mother, and this is how my motherhood journey has been going, and this is what I'm learning, and this is how I'm maintaining my identity and maintaining calm. Another thing that I dealt with having two kids in this small space in our small apartment in Paris is my emotions really I got really triggered, and my emotions I showed it emotionally.
Well, you know
So
what? I can imagine that, because
yeah,
Paris life is glamorous, but it can mean that you're in a smaller space than maybe you were used to before.
right,
So
and that triggers me. Yeah.
what kind of feelings were what kind of what kind of feelings were coming up?
Well, I started getting angry and impatient, and the triggers would just come up out of the blue. I would snap and just be really angry at my oldest son, or have just really no patience. And this is not the kind of mother that I was before. So it was
No, that
also,
wasn't you. So you were
yeah,
seeing a change in your personality.
yeah, it was really jarring and really really scary. And so I had to find a way to deal with that. And so I dove back into my mindfulness practices. I'm certified as a mindfulness and yoga instructor. And so with that certification comes, real legit practice. It's not like when you certify to become a yoga teacher or something, 200 hours. When you certify to teach meditation and mindfulness, if it's a legit program, you're spending 1-2 years in the training, because you have to really develop your own meditation practice, like genuinely. And so I went back to that. And this practice of mindfulness and meditation it really helped. It energized me. It helped me deal with the anger and the impatience. It got me back to myself. I had energy to
Wonderful.
start I don't know if you remember, I started the Moon magazine.
I
And
do.
yeah, it started and stopped really quickly, because that's when I got pregnant in my first trimester. It's always a doozy. Like, I just literally couldn't. I almost lost my career job, my first job, when I got pregnant with Kai, because I couldn't go to work for like 4 weeks.
Okay, wait a
Because
minute. So that your body, okay, yeah. And what a lot of people maybe don't realize that haven't had children, I haven't had biological children, but
Mhm.
this is a major something happening inside your body.
It is, and every woman is, it shows up differently. And for me, and I found, through having this experience, I have found other women who have had it too. I was completely immobile, unable, just,
I
yeah.
mean, it wasn't just morning sickness, and morning
No,
sickness isn't anything to take lightly either.
right.
But
And I
it,
never got diagnosed. There's I can't pronounce it, or I just know there's an H and a G, like hypergravarium or something like that. It's the diagnosis in that first trimester, when you can't, when you are very, very sick, you're vomiting, 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 and you can't move. It's basically every symptom that I had, but I never got diagnosed with it. So I think I had that.
hmm hmm Was this
Um,
happening? Was your first when you had your first baby, was that in France as well?
Oh yeah, I was in France too, so it was actually extremely scary to jeopardize my job like
Oh
that, because
yeah.
I was working for the federal government at the time, and so you're treated like a diplomat, and so all my housing, everything that I had, all of everything was
All
provided
your
by,
security, all your
yeah,
security and benefits were linked to your job.
yeah,
So
so
the
everything I had
fear
was
of losing your,
provided by my job. So
yeah.
jeopardizing my job like that was a really scary thing, but I had no other option. I had no other option. And I didn't have, the support of somebody telling me like, everything's going to be okay. You have to take care of yourself, trust in what you're doing. I didn't have that support. I had to provide it for myself.
Oh, girl, you were in a really scary place.
Yeah. Yeah. And but the good thing about that is that I have grown. I have gained wisdom and confidence and trust in my intuition like nobody's business, because I had to. And anyway, so with the Kleidi Bee, the second version of my business, that's kind of where I was coming from. And then I was healing through all of these versions of myself. So that's what it was
Mhm.
about. And so through that healing, I kind of just went off the radar business wise, and just focused on kind of recovering. It has taken almost this 2 years that my son is 2.5 now. It's taken almost that 2 years of his life for me to truly recover from birth. That what is it, the fourth trimester,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
postpartum
Mhm.
period of recovery. It took me
Mhm.
about 2 years to get through that. And so I always just kind of, I just laugh, when I hear other parents who say, oh, that first 6 months of the baby, is so, so, so tough. We didn't know if we can get through. And I'm like, I wish it was just 6 months for me,
Right? You like it
you
was
know.
2 years for me. Wow. Now, when you
Yeah.
were, I don't, I, for some reason, I'm thinking that there might have been more support in France than maybe in the US.
You mean from the system
From the
itself?
system itself, yeah.
Yeah, it's very different. It's a little bit more nurturing, but the birth process, I had to have cesarean births because of a past surgery that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so the first time around, I thought, it was not the best experience, but now after my second birth this way with a different, excuse me, in a different hospital, I realized that the first way was amazing.
Oh, wow. See,
So
yeah.
yeah, having a child during COVID and through cesarean in a system, just hospitals in general, not any particular hospital, but worldwide probably, hospitals in general who still do not understand the necessary connection between mother and newborn child, um, be maintained even with through the cesarean birth process. Many
Mm-hmm.
women who go through cesareans elect to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and in that election, I think is a little bit of assumed desire of distance, of comfort
Mm-hmm.
and self, of
Mm-hmm.
distance between those two individuals, the mother and newborn child. And so I think that's where maybe the hospital system is coming from. But no, no. So they gave my baby formula. I did
Oh,
not want, because I was in recovery for I think 3 hours or something like that. So,
okay.
baby is hungry,
Yeah.
and they gave him formula. So he didn't have my milk first.
They didn't pre-pump, or I don't even know what I'm talking about, but would that have been an option? Like looking back, do you think they could have pre-pumped you? Because you were producing milk, I assume.
Yeah, well, so what happened the first time around and what I was expecting is they bring, even in recovery, they bring the baby to you so you can have that bonding experience of first milk and just, continue bonding after the actual birth experience. So that's what happened the first time around I had the cesarean. But this second time, I was in this like, almost like a morgue, this recovery room with maybe one other or two other mothers, I'm
Or it
fuzzy.
sounds so depressing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'm by myself, just try. I'm actually, sitting here willing my body to do whatever you need to do, body, for them to think that you are recovered. Come on, let's do this.
Yeah.
so we can get to this
So you can
baby.
hold your baby. Exactly.
And so yeah, I was just in this room for 3 hours recovering. So that was 3 hours of time missed with the newborn baby, which
Yeah.
really, really, really matters, you know. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because right away they get your smell, they get the
yeah,
scent and
yeah.
all that. They get your feel, you get that feel and all of that. So 3 hours may not sound like a lot to some people, but it was felt like a lifetime for you, I bet.
Oh yeah, it was. And then as with he was born a month early, and so what happens a lot with babies like that is they end up in an incubator for a while to make sure
Okay.
that their breathing is okay. So he was
Hmm.
away from me actually for it was 2 or 3 nights. I honestly can't. I would have to like look in the files to really
You
truly
were in
remember.
a haze, I should
But
say.
it
Yeah.
was I think 2 nights he was away from me completely. And I had very little support to get to him to, to be with him, to work on the breastfeeding thing and all of that. So it was not the best, but we have made up for lost time for sure.
Well, what a fantastic, thank you so much for sharing that. Um, and what fantastic story of your resilience and your determination, you wanting to will your body. And cesarean is not a simple operation
Oh
either.
no, no, it's not. That second one was actually really scary. That's when I vowed I would not have more children.
Were you did you well you got two beautiful boys. You don't need any, your family feels complete, I bet. Um did you were you are you awake during the cesarean?
Yes, yes, yes. And they were pushing my stomach really hard because Aiden was, I think, like retreating, like I'm not ready to come out.
He's like, no, I need another month. What are y'all
So
talking about?
they had to like get him down there. And so they were pushing on my body really hard. It was yeah, I was like, I don't care if we have to be abstinent. I don't care what it takes, but I will not.
You're like, it's
I will
closed.
not go through this again. I wondered if I would die from the experience. That's where I
Well,
was.
you know what? And you don't say that lightly because many mothers die in childbirth.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a life or death situation having a baby, even if you're in a
Yep.
hospital. So we're
Yep.
so grateful that you didn't die,
Thank you.
that seriously that
Yeah.
you made it through. And it sounds like it was, I don't want to say traumatic, but that it seems like your body went through a lot of trauma. You're saying they're
Oh
pushing
yeah,
on
it
you,
is
the
definitely. I mean, and
surgery.
that's part of the reason that, it's taken me 2 years to kind of get through that postpartum phase. Yeah, it was traumatic, and I had to heal from that. I had to heal myself from that experience. I had to deal with it head on.
And that's where your training, your mindfulness training came in.
Right, right. And so, healing from that, taking my time. I'm not on anybody else's schedule. I I love looking at Instagram and seeing all the advice that everybody's got and just laughing at it.
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, it's like I have been on a journey and I will continue this journey and where it has gotten me. So the what year, what's this? This is okay. So last year I started a soul journey, a deep dive into the soul. And
Okay.
that is the journey. It was a led journey, and it was 6 months kind of on with a guide, and it's been six almost. I guess next month it'll be 6 months off. Uh, Kind of going through the
Okay.
completion of this soul journey, and that is what has gotten me through to really understanding who I am, what I bring to the world, what support I need, uh, just trusting in my gifts, my talents,
Mm-hmm.
my trainings, my
Mm-hmm.
intuition. I've always been easily able to kind of dive into the deep end and go after whatever it is I want, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit different now because I'm even more confident and connected to myself. And so
Wow. Explain a little bit what a soul journey is.
Well, it's funny that you ask because now I will be providing this as a service, as a one-to-one program for my clients, for anybody who wants to sign up, and it's going to be launching next week.
Yay!
So,
Okay.
so I am launching. So I have come up with, I have codified basically my experience over the last 3 years. And so, using my certifications, my training, my education in anthropology, just everything has come together to create this way of being that is soft. And don't get it twisted, sister. The softness is not a weakness or inability to do, or, the opposite of being a warrior when necessary. But what the softness is, my radically soft method is a soft self-support framework. So it's something that is operating internally to keep you connected to yourself, to keep you present, to keep you able to manage and deal with hardships that come up, and that keep you energized to go after what it is you want to go after in life. This is everything that I have. This is all of my training, all of my experience combined into this one thing and codified to create this method, the radically soft method. And so what
Wow.
and so what I'm offering, it comes in three independent phases. So you don't have, it's not a requirement to do one phase to do another. But the first phase that I'm putting out there is this embodied essence activation. And this is the deep soul work.
Embodied essence activation.
Yes. And so this is embodying and activating your soul essence. And so there has to be this experience of coming to terms with and understanding, it's lifting up consciousness, as if consciousness is a blanket, how you go about the world that you know of. It's like lifting up that blanket and then putting it back over your head and going in, diving deep to figure out what's really running the program. Okay, to really connect with your soul in a way that you can use words as closely as possible, right? To identify what the essence of your soul is. And so when you spoke, when we initially got on the phone, you talked about the fairy dust, right? And I mentioned that, yes, I radiate joy, and it's a reciprocal experience. And that's part of my soul essence is I bring about this radiant joy when I am in alignment. And it's not something that it takes two, right? It's something that happens with exchange with another person, through communication, through relational experiences.
I'm just sitting over here beaming, just beaming. You're just blowing me away. And I'm just so amazed and so happy and proud of you that you can take. And I think that I think it's beautiful what you said, all your life experiences, all your education, all of your training, all of your certifications, it's all come together
Mm.
to where you are now and to where you can offer this beautiful experience for other people. You couldn't have done this last year or 2 years ago.
No, I actually could not have. I would be fumbling on.
You
I
wouldn't
could
even have
not have
thought
it all.
about it. Yeah, you wouldn't even, I don't think you would have even thought about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think so either.
so how long is that first phase? And maybe it's different for every people, but
Well, no,
what
the journey is the same amount of time, but yes, the experience, it's a journey, and it leads to a transformation of some sort. So the transformation might be different for everyone, but the journey, the length of time is the same. So embodied essence activation is a 12-week journey. You have to take time. Okay, the first part of the journey, the first thing that we go into, the foundation of this soft self support framework
hmm
is slowing down.
hmm hmm
Slowing the F down.
Okay. Yeah. Easier said than done, right?
Exactly. And that's why it takes time. That's why it's a 12-week journey. Because you can't just slow down because you tell yourself, "Oh, I need to slow down." It's like everybody on social media is saying, "Oh, you need to rest. I need to rest. We need to rest. Rest is essential. Rest, rest, rest." Who's resting? Nobody.
No, because you're on social media scrolling and trying to keep up with people. You're not resting.
Right. So we know what we need to do, but we don't have a pathway to make it happen. And so I'm providing the pathway, and it takes time and it takes commitment. And so again, that's why we spend 4 weeks alone on this process of slowing down. It takes time and it takes gentleness. That's the softness that it comes through with the teaching method, as well as instilling that soft framework, that slowing down, that stillness, that softness towards your inner self, to be able to do whatever it is you have to do in the world. Show up to defend yourself when you need to create
Yeah.
projects that really align with your soul,
Yeah.
to do work that feels right, that matches with your values. It takes effort to do that, but what people don't realize is you don't have to push. You do not have to force yourself to do these things. When it is right, when it is in
Yeah.
alignment with who you are at a soul level, then it flows. There is still efforting, there is still work, there is always, we do, but we
Hmm.
also be. And in
Yeah.
this being, the doing becomes more in alignment, and the energy is provided through this softness of knowing who you are at a soul level.
Wow. Okay. Whew. So that's a lot right there. So at the end of that first phase, you have ideally learned how to slow down, how to be.
Yes. So for embodied essence activation, you start by slowing down,
Hmm.
and then and only then can we start the second part of the process, which is diving in deep to figure out more about that soul essence. We start
Okay.
with learning. You can call up what your values are, what your beliefs are, what you think you're good at. We start there, and then we keep diving. Where we go is to the imaginal realm. Do you know this place?
Do I know it?
Yes, the imaginal realm.
I'm not sure.
Okay, but so we engage our imagination, because the consciousness, cerebral knowledge can only get us so far, right? One
Hmm.
plus one is two.
Hmm. Our
But
intellect.
yes, our intellect can only get us so far.
Hmm.
You know, if you think one plus one is two, but when you start to evoke the imagination, one plus one equals infinity. You get one man and one woman together, you have children, those children have children, those children have children. If you can, when you start to apply imagination, you go deeper. Okay, so when you spend a little time in the realm, but closing the eyes, going into between the real world and this place where your soul dwells, and you allow the imagination to conjure up and to create. That's how you get to know. That's how you get to know
Well,
yourself
you
at
know
this
what? I
level.
think I have been in that realm
Mm.
when I'm in deep meditation, like Yoga Nidra, for example.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so I do know
Yes,
what you mean. And
yes.
that's a place that I want to be at all the time. But I
I
haven't
know.
figured that out quite yet. But yeah, so I do know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yes,
So
yeah.
the mindfulness and the meditation that can help you achieve, I shouldn't want to say achieve, but help you get to that place. What do you call it? The realm of imagination?
Yeah, the imaginal realm.
The imaginal realm, yeah.
Yeah.
So once you have learned how to be still and just
Yes.
be, you can get
Mm-hmm.
yourself to
Mm-hmm.
that imaginal realm.
Yes, and that's where you learn more about yourself than you ever have known before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
And so we
learn,
go,
I
sorry,
was
go
going to say
ahead.
you learn, no, you learn more about yourself, but you also just learn about existing. I guess that's the same thing. That, like you say, just the
Yeah.
being part. We always feel
Yeah.
like we have to be doing something, and
Right.
being is enough if you're truly present.
Exactly. There's always this search for, life purpose, right? And, this is where I challenge this
Yeah.
thought. And I know I'm not the only one to do that. But this is where I challenge that thought. Is it life purpose or is it life essence? Okay. For me, the purpose of life is to live life, to experience it, that your life
Period.
purpose is
Yeah.
being realized by you being here.
Mm-hmm.
But you are inhibiting that purpose, that full living purpose by, we had to put on these veils of survival, right? We had to kind of shroud or we felt we needed to cover up who we truly are to make it through, like third grade even, um,
No, you're
ele-
right. Because it
elementary
starts
school, this
very
is where, yeah.
early. Those expectations and what you can and can't do. We're told this is how you're
Mm,
supposed to be.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
you're suppressing who you
mm-hmm,
really are a lot of times, most times even. It's funny that you say third grade because that's a pivotal time. That's when you start noticing
mm-hmm,
yourself and other people around you and
mm-hmm,
how they react to you.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I think the power you have, but we don't realize that that's what it is.
Right, right. So I'm challenging that, for us to, as adults, in control of ourselves for the most part, to jettison those layers of those veils of survival and uh, embody our essence, our soul essence. And then that way we come back to living out our purpose, which is really just being, be expressing who we are at a soul level in the world. So anyway, so you
So
find
that
out.
phase, wait, I'm sorry, not to
Oh,
cut you
go
off
ahead.
with that, because we know the
That's okay.
first phase is about 12 weeks. This second phase, where you explore the imaginal realm, that's a 12-week phase as well.
Oh no, I'm sorry. So you know what? We won't even talk about the other two phases of
Okay.
the radically soft method. We'll stay with the one which is the embodied essence
Okay.
activation. And so, yeah, the first phase of that, of the embodied essence activation, is the slowing down. The second
Yes.
phase is, learning about yourself from this whole other angle, right?
Okay.
And then the third phase is daring a little bit to embody that
Ah,
more and more, coming up with 9 to 12 roadmap of how you're going to express that and embody that and
okay.
show up as that soul essence being more and more in your daily life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that when you say daring to be, it does take courage.
Yeah. And I don't want to like push people away with, like, okay, we're creating these goals for the next several months. It's not that goal setting that you used to that brings on the anxiety and the pressure, like,
Hmm.
oh crap, now I got to make sure that this happens.
Yeah.
But it's more of a joyful journey. Like, okay, can I show up more as this, for using myself as an example, as this radiant being? Like,
Hmm.
how can I do that? Okay, I can maybe spend more time playing with my kids, create more
Hmm.
activities for us to do together.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I
Hmm.
can do that through my work, right? By putting out offerings that help engage this joyful one-on-one kind of
Hmm.
exchange with my
Hmm.
clients. So it's
Hmm.
not about, okay, I gotta set this goal and meet this goal. Okay, it's not that harsh thing. It's not about pushing through, right?
It's not about creating stress,
Right.
because that is
It's
stressful. Well, like like you say, the traditional goal setting is stressful.
right, exactly. It's about just daring to manifest, right?
Mm.
Writing down what you want your roadmap to be is one of writing is one of the most powerful practices of
Hmm.
manifesting.
Hmm.
I have been writing out my goals for several years. I think since about 20, when was that? I was living over there in DC. what year was that? 2014 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
I've been writing them out in this specific way, you know, where I'm really detailing things, getting really specific. And when I look back on those journals, I am shocked at how much I have of that stuff that I actually accomplished. It's wow.
Wow. Yeah.
It's amazing. So I want to share that with others because it's such a powerful practice. So that's what creating that roadmap is more about, like really getting specific and writing down, hey, your dream life. That's all it is. It's hey, this will be great. This will really resonate with my values, with what lights me up, with my soul essence. If I kind of live life in this way, here's maybe 5 things I can do. So it's more like that than goal setting. You see what I mean? It's
I
manifesting.
do. It's manifesting. And I don't hear you say, which is great, that if I do these things, I'll be happy.
Oh, we don't fall into that trap, sister.
Girl.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, because that is a huge trap.
Yeah. And that's something that I talk about, as I've been fleshing out my new version of my brand, Kleidi Jeen. This is something that's very important to me. There is, about type A. You hear type A. You're from DC, the city of type A.
I was gonna say, ain't nothing but type A in DC. What you talking about? There are other types?
There's no other. I don't think there's other types in DC. In DC, they have been pushed out to other areas.
Indeed. Yeah.
But I bring this up because I think it's so interesting. In the 50s, a I don't know if it was a scientist or more of a sociologist, psychologist, who came up with this typing of people. I think it was type A through D. And type A, the thing is about us is that we have come up in a school system, at least in the United States, where A is good. If you are type A, that's got to be good, right? Because you get an A when you do
Right.
good in your lesson. Is that correct?
Yeah. We all
So
go for the A's. We strive to get to be
right.
A's. Get A's, be an A. Yep.
Exactly. So when you see a type identified as A, you automatically have been conditioned to think that that is a good thing. Is that right?
Amen.
Okay. But when you look at where this came from in the 1950s, this guy created these different types to basically help with identifying health issues. Type A
Mhm.
is actually a type of person who is more likely to have health issues related to heart disease,
Mhm.
stress-induced health issues, and things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
It is
Mhm.
not necessarily, or it was not meant to be to identify a person who was better than other people because
It
of the letter
wasn't
A.
right. It wasn't something that you wanted to achieve or to attain, that you
Right,
wanted to be. You didn't want to achieve, strive to be a type A
right,
necessarily. Their research showed that type A, as you say, you're going to have heart attack, chronic
right.
heart disease, high cholesterol, probably stress, all
Exactly.
of that. But it was
Yeah,
misconstrued somehow.
and they'll be the person who is always who is never satisfied. So they'll always work
Mhm.
harder and stress themselves out more to attain
Yeah.
that happiness at the end of the tunnel that they'll never get to because they have identified happiness as something that is at the end of the tunnel.
Girl, and you hear so many people bragging about, I'm type A, I'm type A.
But yes, because when we hear A, we hear good, something to achieve, something to go for. That's what we
Hmm.
hear when we hear the letter A.
Hmm.
And so type B is the person who is there for the ride, who is there to experience the journey and enjoy the journey. No matter
Hmm.
what happens at the end, the type B person is more about the quality of the journey.
They were like, I enjoyed this. I didn't know what the result was going to be, but it was fun.
Right, right.
Yeah, they're actually living it.
And
And
so that's actually where we want to be is the type B person.
we want to be a B.
Right. We want to be a B. They should have named that A. What would happen if type B was actually named type A?
Yeah, we'd be
If
much
if
better
they were
off.
switched. Can you imagine that if they were switched? Then
Mm.
you have a whole bunch of people. ready to enjoy the journey, experience the journey,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the
Mm-hmm.
people ready to go out and achieve and stress out and kill themselves and
And
everybody.
always thinking about the next thing and not enjoying, like you say, the process of what they've achieved, already looking to the next goal. Because when you're
Exactly.
type A, you're never satisfied.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, yeah, so the happiness is the journey. When, if you think about it, if you put your happiness as the end goal, you
Mm-hmm.
just will never get to it. You'll get to death before you get to the happiness
You
because it's
sure
at the
will.
end,
You sure will. Ooh, that's a profound way to say it, but you're right. You sure will. So all your life experiences you were at a place where you say, I got to do this soul. How did you know that that's what you needed so that you're now
I,
able
d-
to offer it to other people?
I didn't, I didn't have any, it just happened. It just started. It just happened.
Hmm.
It was just presented to me. It was just laid into my lap. When you're ready
Hmm.
for things, when things need to come, and that's another part of softness, of gentleness, of being in the present, of being aligned with who you are, and not forcing it, and not constantly searching for, the happiness at the end of the tunnel. Is that when you are aligned, the things that need to come your way will come your way.
I was going to say that was no accident.
Right, right, right. Not at all. Not at
It
all.
was because you were ready. I don't want to say you had resigned yourself, or maybe do you feel like that you were said maybe everything I've tried isn't working. I'm resigned to what the
No,
universe, or how would
no,
you
it
describe
wasn't.
it?
It wasn't like that. I am one of those people. Good or bad. I'm a forever hopeful person. I don't think there's a situation where I would ever give up hope or finding the a positive solution or a way through. It really, the downside to that is it's almost like I can never allow myself to settle into grieving, for example, or just letting the thing be, to really, really walk through the fog, because I'm just so freaking hopeful.
Well, that's one thing that we have in common. I'm a hopeful
Really?
person too. I am. And it's not that cliche like the power of positive thinking or whatever, but I'm
Right.
hopeful, and I can't imagine a life without hope. You
Exactly.
can be deep down, and I've had horrible grieving experiences,
Yes, yes. You
but I
lost
still
your
have the hope.
father, is that right?
Yeah, 2 years
Yes.
ago yesterday, and
Yes.
he was
Oh, wow.
95, and I got through yesterday without crying, but could think about
Mm,
it and mark
mm,
the day.
mm,
Um, but that was the worst part, and everybody's had traumatic experiences to some extent through your life.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, so I've had those before, but that was the deepest, darkest that I had
mm-hmm,
been. But
mm-hmm.
even there, I didn't give up hope, which is how I came out through the other
Right.
side, and the solution dropped in my lap, like you
Mm,
say,
mm,
because when you're ready, because I was able to be still enough and to
mm-hmm.
listen and to hear. And then the next thing I know, I was in yoga teacher training because
Oh,
I have found myself on the yoga mat like 5 times a day. I just knew I needed
wow.
to do this for me to help me through the grieving. And then it got to the point I was like, well, I need to get deeper into this and not just take
Yeah.
classes, but understand why this is so wonderful for me.
Wow.
But it was the hope was always there. It was when you think like I can't be in more pain than I am now, mentally, physically,
Mm,
the stress, then the
mm,
new responsibilities you have to take on.
mm,
I
mm,
still had hope because I
mm,
knew that I don't want to say I didn't have any other choice, but
mm-hmm,
I never thought that there wasn't going to be hope. I just knew I was going to have to go through this and take my
mm-hmm,
time, like you
mm-hmm,
say.
mm-hmm,
There's no time limit or no
mm-hmm.
time frame. And I probably stopped being type A at that point
Mm, mm.
because you can't be type A and say, okay, I'm going to be over this in 2 weeks. That's my goal.
Right,
No,
right,
that's not how it
right,
works.
right. But so
So,
many people are there.
yeah. So, wow. Okay. So, how do people, okay. So, what does this look like when you're working with clients? This is something that someone can do online with you? Do they meet with you weekly? Like, describe
Yes.
that.
Yes. Thanks for asking. It's actually both. So, I will be providing the coursework, the worksheets and things to do, the
Because people got
instructions.
to do the work on their own, not just
Oh,
when they get
yes,
here.
honey.
Okay.
Yes, you have to
Okay.
be ready. The program starts with a ritual of commitment. Actually, when you sign up for the course, you have up to 48 hours to change your mind, because what I want you to do when you start it is to go out on a little journey into nature and really see if it's the right thing for you. Because it's not going to do either of us any good for you to force yourself into you have to be ready to do
So
so.
it's not for everybody, or it's for everybody when they're ready.
It's for
But you can't,
everybody when they're ready.
yeah.
It's geared towards people who are really trying to make a difference in the world, make positive changes in the world. We call them change makers. But of course, all of us can be change makers at some level, and many
Well,
of
I
us,
was
at
gonna
least,
say,
yeah, many of us, at least in my sphere, are already change makers in some way.
well, I was gonna say in the world, it doesn't mean like you're trying to be the next president or whatever, because your
Oh,
world, it can be just be your household.
amen. And exactly. That's where I am with my change making. I'm
Right.
working hard on raising kids who can, have extreme emotional intelligence and, be able to express themselves truthfully and things like that, transparently and
Hmm.
things like that.
Hmm.
So, yeah, absolutely. We are all, and I want us to all realize that we all have a role as a change maker in some way, and connect to that, because part of what my values are is this community aspect, us lifting each other up with the work that we do, with the embodiment of our essence. It's not just for us individually, it's for us all. It's to make our community, starting with our households, like you say, making our households, our extended families, our communities, our local towns and cities, our states, and to make this all a better place.
It
Honestly, I hate to sound cliche, but that's really what
well,
it's about.
well, that's good. I was gonna say it may sound cliche to some people, but cliches are there for a reason, because they're based on truth.
Mm,
And once you have like that energy, you have other people want it as
mm,
well. Even if
mm,
you're not vocalizing it, you're expressing it just in your being.
mm.
So when you're walking down the street, how you interact with the person at the grocery store,
Exactly.
all of that is you making a change in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I
So
want
you
us all
so
to
the
recognize
40
that.
Okay, so in that 48 hours, you say go out into nature. That's a requirement.
Oh,
Wherever you
yeah,
are, find
yeah.
a place of a green space or
Find a
something.
tree or something, a plant in your house. I don't care what it is. Find somewhere
Yeah.
to connect. to
Yeah.
find some place to, and I have the, specific detailed instructions on it, but, find some place where you can connect with nature, because that is your connection to where you live on earth. This is a connection that we have completely disconnected from this in so many
Forgotten, like we
ways.
never even knew it existed.
We are earthlings.
Say it again for the people in the back, right?
Right.
Earthlings. So, I mean, I'm even thinking you're like, if you can get out where you can put your feet in the grass, take your socks off.
Be it, put your feet in the take your socks off, put your feet or your bum on the actual earth, on the grass.
Hmm.
If you
Hmm.
can't do that, put hands to a tree,
Hmm.
hands to a
Hmm.
plant.
Hmm.
Hold it, stay there in stillness.
Hmm.
15 minutes.
Hmm.
Connect. Connect with this
Hmm.
place. It is you. It is a reflection of who you are. Connect with it. Remind yourself of who you are and what you need. And then you will know if you need this. If this
So
is,
even if you live in a crowded urban area that doesn't
honey,
have a lot of green spaces, you can find a tree,
you
or
can
you can
find a
find
tree.
you could go to a flower shop and just in be in there. Or I'm trying to give people that might have excuse, well, I happen to live where there are a lot of green spaces, but if you don't,
Right, me too. Yeah, yeah.
there's grass somewhere, there's a tree somewhere, there's
There
a
is,
flower.
I live in, you and I, we live in major city. Well, I live in Paris, and I can find green
Yeah.
space easily here. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine if you live in the suburbs, if you live in another major city, I can't imagine you not being able to go to a park or a backyard, or like you say, a plant shop,
Well,
or
some people, because they're so disconnected from nature, may have a hard time thinking about that. So I'm glad you're
uh-huh,
spelling
uh-huh.
it out to say it can be as accessible as a tree. You can
Real,
find a tree.
truly, truly, truly.
And who cares if people are looking at you while you're touching this tree?
Hun, and you can find a spot where it's not super crowded. You can.
Exactly.
You can
You
go
can.
Google map your local park. Go there. Boom.
Go there. You'll be
That's
with
it.
other people that are connected to nature. You'll find a new community.
You will. You will. And it's really important. It sounds, maybe it might sound unnecessary or a little extra, but if you're going here, if you're going there to a connection to self, you have to have that ability to connect. And this is a great place to start, to have that ability to connect. This is a great
Yeah.
this a connection that you make to the earth is a supportive connect. There is nothing that can be negative or bad or misconstrued. When you communicate with another human, you get all those trust issues come up, miscommunication comes up.
Miscommunications. Yeah.
So the
Nature doesn't miscommunicate, though.
exactly.
And
So
you
you
will,
get a clear message.
I say, you'll start to feel that. How does that message come in? It comes in through your body, through your
Ex-
senses.
Exactly, through your intuition. And then so you're also, even if you decide this isn't right for you, you have flexed your intuition and your connection
hmm
skills in a way that is really helpful for you.
hmm
Okay.
After that 48-hour period where they're
Mm,
connected with nature and,
mm,
and they come back, that's the commitment period. Then they say like, okay, because it is a commitment. And first and foremost, it's not a commitment to you, it's a commitment to
mm.
themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. So yes, that's when you state your commitment, you make your commitment, we go through our little ritual to start. And honey, we get started on the work. We dive in. It's an amazing journey. It's something that's really, really worth doing. That is life changing. That is
And
like the
once you
way.
start
Go ahead.
doing the work, I was going to say, because you say you come with worksheets and workbooks. Once you start doing the work, it's the type of thing you want to do more and more. It's like reading a good book. You can't wait to turn the page.
Exactly. And then you have your weekly sessions with me for an hour for each session to debrief, and if you have questions and if you have blockages, with the work, then I help you through. That's where I can or that's where I do guide and mentor through the process. So the work is yours to do, to take ownership of, to
I was going to
embody,
say to claim. You
to
can't say
claim. Oh,
Kleidi,
yes, I
Kleidi did
love that word.
this.
Yes,
Like I
yes.
did this. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just there to hold up the mirror,
Your witness.
yes, to be the witness. And oh, thanks for saying that too. The witnessing is extremely powerful and helpful,
hmm
to be validated and seen
hmm
as
hmm
you grow, as you journey. That you start losing interest in a Chanel bag and things like that, because
Girl.
that little piece of stupid leather, that can't
If
get
it's
you
even
anything like
leather.
this.
Yeah. If it's even leather. And the validation part that you said is very key, I
Ooh.
think. So many of us feel unheard,
Mm-hmm.
unvalidated. And then something else I wanted to say, it's non-judgmental work. You're not there to judge them.
Oh, and I am here to teach you to not judge yourself as well.
Mhm.
That's part of it too.
We judge ourselves very harshly
Oh, harsher than
all during the day without even thinking about it. You burnt
without
the
even.
toast.
I
You know,
caught
you
my
did
tone.
this.
I caught my tone just yesterday talking to myself. It's like, oh, who are you talking to in that tone? It wasn't the
Exactly.
words. I said the words again to myself in a kinder way, and it was really, I can feel the softness in my body right now, the support, the self support. But the way I said it the first time around, I was like, oh, okay, make sure you don't talk to your kids that way, because that was
Exactly, because
really
you like you
harsh.
wouldn't talk to anybody else that way. Don't talk to
Right,
yourself that way. One thing I learned
right.
in my yoga teacher training was compassionate self-forgiveness.
Mm, mm, yep.
And it's something that I have to practice every day.
And that's the other thing, you bring up to me another point in this, in that it's not about perfection. It's not about getting this right, right? We struggle,
Yeah.
each of us as humans. That's part of the, living in our purpose, right?
Hmm.
And just being human is we struggle with these things, these elements of conditioning that we have been living for decades that don't quite go with our purpose, our essence, who we truly are, our authentic selves. And so, when we're standing up to dare to shed those layers, it does not come overnight. There is no end goal of perfection. We will be doing this work until we are no longer here.
Well, we're human, so perfection isn't even an option. It's not a
Exactly.
possibility.
So I just don't want to set people up to think, okay, if I do this, for example, this embodied essence program, then okay, I'm gonna, I don't want anybody to have an expectation of
I'm going to be
living
the
life in a
perfect
certain
mother, or
way.
I'm going to be the
Right,
perfect wife, or I'm
right,
going to be,
right, right.
no, you're not. You're going to be a better version of yourself, the ultimate
Exactly.
version of yourself if you do the work.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you're going to still make mistakes.
Right.
That's where the compassion and self-forgiveness comes in for me, because you
Right.
work so hard to get something right. And if it's not, and it's like, well, what is right? And why am
Yep.
I trying so hard? And
Yep.
just forgive yourself and calm down. And if you have compassion and self-forgiveness for yourself, it's easier to forgive others and to see them for who they are with all their imperfections. I don't even like to say imperfections because we can't be perfect anyway.
Right.
So for just who they are, and it helps manage expectations for yourself and
Right.
for others.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we put too many expectations on ourselves, unrealistic. That
Right.
comes
And
back to
and
that type
others.
A.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you and others. So when you say, so if you're not in Paris, you can still do this with you. You can be
Oh yeah, this is all
anywhere.
virtual. Yeah, through Zoom. I guess if you're in Paris, we could meet up, but even then I would probably still do it on Zoom,
You would do
honestly.
it on Zoom, and that's fine because
Yeah.
people need that space and that safety. Just like we're recording now, we don't have our cameras on. We just came as we are.
Right.
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 So if you're on Zoom and you don't have to feel like, oh, I got to look a certain way or act a certain
Exactly.
way.
It's true. And I provide all, I still do Reiki and different sessions, intention setting sessions with clients, and all of that is virtual. And I dare to say that it's better. It's actually better that way because of what you just said. People are in their own sacred, safe space. I can provide an even deeper, sacred, and safe lens through which
Hmm.
we go through a session. And
Hmm.
that just helps you to be more authentic and more real with yourself, and let the stuff that comes up need to come that the stuff that needs to come up, let it come up, you know?
Now, you know what? For the show notes, I'm going to need you to send me all the information how people can get in touch with you. Have you set up a web? Have you um, have a website for this?
Yes,
What's the
it'll be ready next week, but it will
okay?
be kleidijeen.com, KLE. Kleidi is spelled like Heidi with a KL.
Okay.
Okay. Kleidi Kleidi
How many times have
Jeen.
you said that in your life? Yeah. How you spell it? So Kleidi.
Kleidi Jeen, JEEN dot
Hmm.
com
Hmm.
slash embodied essence. That's
Okay.
what the link will be. But it's not ready yet. It'll be ready next week.
It'll be ready by the time this podcast comes out, so that'll be perfect.
Okay,
So
great.
so for people listening now, we're recording on May 26th. So this will be out first week of June. The website will be
Oh,
up.
yes. Yep,
But
definitely.
when you hear this fantastic conversation, you'll already be able to go straight to the website. And now you know the backstory about what you'll be seeing on the website and how you can do
Hmm.
it. I wonder if I could ask you to close us out with a brief meditation.
Oh, now I would love to.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. So why don't we find ourselves with the eyes closed, or if for some reason that feels uncomfortable, just lower the gaze towards the ground. And you notice as you lower your gaze or close your eyes that you almost instantly start to reflect internally. Allow yourself to be awareness, to become awareness. And in that awareness, you are simply observing, being aware of whatever it is going on in your body. You might feel your feet tingling, or feel the chest and belly rising and falling with the breath. You might notice a sensation in another part of the body. Now, staying focused on the breathing, each inhale and exhale coming through the body. No need to change it, no need to deepen it. Just allow your natural breathing to come in and out as you place your awareness on the breath. Cool air coming through nostrils with each inhale. Warm air exiting nostrils with each exhale. Now feeling a sense of gravity in the body, feeling the weight of the body connecting to the earth, whether you're sitting or standing or lying down. Just feeling earth kind of anchoring your body through the feeling, the sensation of the weight moving downward. And keeping the spine long, not allowing the sensation of weight to round the back or anything, but feeling that weight anchoring down, connecting to the earth through the seat or the back of the body if you're lying down, or through the feet if you're standing. If the mind wanders to tasks, memories, other thoughts, gently bring it back into the body, feeling the weight connect to earth. Now, deepening the breath, each inhale and exhale. The inhales opening, lifting, widening the chest and belly. Exhales through the mouth this time. 2 more times this way. Inhale. When you're ready, opening the eyes gently and feeling that sensation of connectedness to the earth. And let it come back to your memory, to your experience throughout the day. Thank you.
Thank you, my little magic fairy. I just love you. I'm so glad we got to catch up today. You're an absolutely remarkable woman. Don't ever forget that.
Oh, thank you. And I love you too. I wanted to put that out there.
I appreciate that. The love is
Yes.
received.
Yeah.
And wow, I'm ready to go on with the rest of my day. Actually, we are going to a big flower shop.
Go touch a flower,
Plant,
honey.
yes, I want to soak it all in. That's part of our plan. There's one near
Okay.
us. It's like a little mini botanical garden in my mind. So I'm
Oh,
gonna go get with my nature now.
there you go. There you
Thank
go.
you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll
Thank
be in,
you.
oh, you're welcome. And we'll be in touch soon. Kiss those beautiful boys for me.
I will. Thank you so
Let
much.
them know
Thanks
there's
for
somebody in
having me.
Sweden that thinks they're amazing.
Oh,
And
I will tell them. Oh, I can't wait to tell them. Kai
tell
loves
them
that kind
that.
of stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
good. And have a wonderful rest of your day, sweetheart.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.